Hey, what's up, Malone? Let me know if you can hear me. There we go. It's a little better. Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Digs Outdoors. This is your typical Thursday night live stream. Decided to make it a little bit earlier, so because most of us go watch Bass After Dark, so try to get done a little bit earlier. That way, we have some time between this and Bass After Dark to do what we need to do. Just a little housekeeping here first. Monday I posted the accountability video. Like I said, I was going to. Well, actually, no, Tuesday I posted it, but I did get it posted. A little bit of an uptick in some areas, a little bit of a downtick in other. That's to be expected. Um, I'm going to have another video coming out, dropping tomorrow, sometime probably after I get home from work, and go from there. I'll probably shoot some more on Saturday. Right now, I'm doing mostly like woods and bushcraft stuff right now because I have easier access to that than I have to getting the water right now. Just when I thought I had my trailer pretty much good to go, something else went wrong on it, so I have no way to get my kayak there. It is what it is, no big deal. But with that being said, I know I'm kind of doing two things right now on the same channel. I've said this before. I'm going to say this again. Most people will say I'm not niche enough, and the problem I see is the more niche I've been going, the less viewers I've been getting. I'm going back to where I started from, and going to kind of incorporate fishing into that. Doing one thing just isn't working, so I got to kind of have to spread it out, and kind of going back to where I started from. I'm going to try to start pulling back some of the viewers I had before into this new iteration of this channel, and hopefully that works. And to be quite honest, as I said, I'm going to be giving you guys total transparency here. This isn't so much. I'll hopefully we'll hit 1,000 by the end of the year. I'm not looking to get monetized. I've been doing this for almost 8 years. I'm just hitting 1,000. There ain't no way this channel's going to monetize. I'm just going to be honest about it. This is more therapy at this point. I'll get into that a little bit later, but as I said, this is more of a therapy thing now. So on with the festivities here. What are your fishing goals for 2025? I'm going to give you my top 10 in no particular order, even though they're numbered 1 through 10, but in no particular order, except for the very last one is to me the most important one after the last couple years I've had. So let's get into it here. Number 10 is going to be the Garmin 93 SV or 106 SV fish finder. I got the kayak. That'd be the next step I want to take. Just for the fact that I like how it works. Basically, I've played with Lowrance, I've played with Humminbird, and I've played with Garmin, and I'm still in love with Garmin. I'm a Garmin fanboy anyway. So before I get this, I've had 6 different Garmin GPSs and loved all of them. I got 1, 2, there's 3 over there, 1 there of the handheld GPSs. I've had 2 vehicle GPSs. They all work great. always been impressed with them. That's why I'm running with them. I know Garmin. As funny as it may sound, I know Garmin. I love Garmin. Okay. So, no really, I'm not saying there's a downside to it, but this one may take me a little bit. But the thing is where I'm planning on getting it from. It's a $1,200 package, and you do get the forward-facing sonar transducer with it. So I have that as well. And I want to experiment with it a little bit while I'm out on the water, because it may have more than just one use of finding fish. And if I can get that to work, then I'll show that to you. But I'm going to kind of leave that to myself for right now. But if it does work, I think you guys, even you fishing guys, will definitely appreciate this. Okay, we're going to go on to number 2. Just let me check something here real quick before we go on to number 2. Well, it says I'm live. Okay, and I am talking too. Okay, good. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, we're going to go on to 9. And this is something I've been already working on, trying to figure out how I want to do it, where I want to go. That probably, if I do this, it probably won't be announced till after New Year sometime. And I'm still going to leave it kind of a surprise of where I am going to go and how I'm going to do things. But the one thing I will say, tilt this just a little bit more. Here we go. The one thing I will say is, not only will I be using the new kayak, I'll be using the old kayak. I'll probably be doing some bank fishing as well. So these are places I've been wanting to fish. I'm not going to name the places because I do not want to spot burn, because a couple of these places, I'm not saying I'm the only one who knows about them, that knows about a couple of these places, but not too many people do, and I want to leave it that way. But I think it'll be interesting because a couple of the places that I'm going to, in theory, should hold bigger fish, even though if you look at it on a map, you'd probably say it wouldn't. And that is something that's something in and of itself that I'm going to be going into in depth in video form here in the near future. So just stay tuned for that. I think you'll find it rather interesting. I ran across a couple people that are biologists and around here, not online, but on here. I do want to run across a biologist here on YouTube and see what he has to say about it. But he goes, the biologists here say, my theory is a very valid theory. Not that you can't find bigger fish elsewhere, just where I want to go, they probably will be easier to catch. Just throwing that out there. So, in a way, I want to try to beat my PB, which ironically, my PB is the very first fish I've ever caught in my life when I was 7, which was 9.5. It's a 9.5 pound largemouth bass. Was my very first fish. I haven't got anywhere close to that since. So, with that being said, time to go hunting. Let me jump over here real quick. Hey, what's up, Blue? Okay, back over here. This is another thing I'm going to kind of keep under my hat because a couple of the designs that I have, I've done a lot of extensive searching. I mean, extensive. And what I mean by extensive is everything from going through this from cover to cover to seeing what's out there and everything else in between. And a couple of designs that I have, nobody has done yet. They're not in Japan. They're not here. They're not in China. If I can nail down what I want to do, get it working consistently, I am going to try to patent it. Once I get the patent, then, which may take a while, I get that. But if I can get the patent and get everything going the way I want it to go, this could be interesting. The other thing I'm going to say is I'm going to be taking a lot of known concepts and turning them on their heads. The one I am working on that I can share is I'm working on a extremely lightweight finesse rig. What I mean by extremely lightweight finesse A rig is the A rig itself probably weighs, I'd say maybe 3/8 of an ounce, maybe a half ounce total before you add the baits to it. And the baits do not use jig heads. I'm actually going to be using the drag of the baits to actually run the A rig. And this is actually designed to, like, if I pause it, it's going to come to a dead stop, then slowly sink before I start moving it again. Again, that's in theory. We'll see what happens because, as I said, in the A rig itself, the only metal that's in it is going to be the wire, and it's going to be the lightest weight wire that I can run and not have it go completely cattywampus on me. This is an idea I've had for a while. Oh yeah, and the other thing is, it's going to be made to be fished unbalanced, which is going to throw a whole other wrinkle into things too. So it may take me a little bit to get that dialed in, but I do believe that is possible. So, I mean, I got a lot of things in the works. Design-wise, when I talk about design-wise, I have probably about 12 different designs. Some of them have been around. Don't get me wrong, but the first couple I haven't seen anybody do yet. And the very first one, it's not only a one bait, it's actually 5 subcategories of baits based off of one. Now, I'm not saying there's going to be one bait that's going to be that you can interchange, but it's going to be the same concept, but with a different application. And that's all the more I can really get into before I start divulging things. So we'll go on to number 7. Fish new bodies of water. This one is kind of an interesting thing for me here. Around me, I've fished a lot of different bodies of water around me, and there's still lots of new ones to go to. So this one should be easy. If I do the 10, I'm planning on doing that 10 episode. That 10 episode deal. I think about half of them, if not maybe 60% of them, are new water. So you're going to find there's going to be a couple of these that can be wrapped back and forth or be done at the same time, or they kind of coincide with each other, even though they're separate things. Because the next 2 can be wrapped into this as well. Along with, actually, the next 1, 2, 3 can be wrapped into this as well. Okay, but the thing with new bodies of water though is you go on them, you don't know what to expect. It's like a fresh page, if you will. You're not fishing your own history. You actually have to go out and start the whole process of learning that body of water. You go out, find where the find where the bait fish are, find where the fish are, where your structure's at, where your weed lines are at, all that stuff. Shit. We don't have shell beds up here, but the rocks on the bottom, sandy bottoms, muddy, silty, what you name it. So there's a lot to be learned there, but a lot of stuff that you learn there, you may be able to take back to one of the bodies that you usually fish and apply it there as well. So it's all part of that learning process. Okay, on to number 6 here. Do a fishing overnighter at the least. Um, I actually have planned some float trips. Some are one day. There's one I planned up on French Creek. And if I was able to do it and find somebody to do it with, that's the problem. It would be, I can't remember if it's a 3 day or 4 day fishing trip covering about 35 to 40 miles of French Creek, which French Creek lets in Pennsylvania. That's actually a very, well, I won't say very, but it's a small river, literally. Um, so I think it'd be a very unique experience because some of you guys know I'm kind of doing bushcraft, and the only reason I'm using bushcraft is that's the buzzword. I'm going to be camping along the way, but I'm not taking modern conveniences like a stove and everything else because I'm going to carry so much on the kayak. Number one. Number two, a lot of the things I'm going to be doing when I get there, like start fire, make food and stuff, is basically some people may call it bushcraft, some people may call it primitive like camping. It's kind of like a mix between the two, using a modern conveyance to get there, which is the kayak. But if you look back through time, big creeks like that were actually used as thoroughfares way back in the day. Um, People would make wooden rafts, go down them. Especially if there's a timber mill somewhere downstream, they float logs down. Um, the Native Americans and some of the settlers would canoe up and down those. That's like a highway. They canoe up and down that creek because it's the easiest way to get from point A to point B and carry a lot of stuff. So I'm kind of be doing that at the same time as well as fishing. Now, when I do the fishing part of it, I'm not going to be taking as much tackle as I would, like, let's say, doing a tournament, or if I'm just going to go out to the lake and practice and have my full tackle crate on the back of the kayak. Um, there's going to be a lot of give and take there because I have to take so much gear with me to camp, but I have to take out so much fishing gear, but not so much that I'm not going to catch anything, if that makes any sense. People say I need to get a bigger kayak. Well, no. Which, with that being said, going on to number 5, and that said, these are no particular order, but a lot of these can feed off each other. I've never been river fishing on a kayak. I've always wanted to, and I said I'm pretty much a one-man show. If I do a float trip, how am I supposed to get back to my Jeep? Lay down, bud. Yeah, lay down. Dog's looking at me funny. Good boy. Sorry, it's keeping an eye on my dog there. um, I've never been, like I said before, I've never been river fishing from the kayak. Now, I have fished in a couple larger creeks and a couple rivers from the bank. That's no big deal, but I've never had the sensation of moving on a river and trying to fish at the same time. So I guess this is going to be a learned experience for me, which again will kind of tie into the new bodies of water and fishing an overnighter, along with the next one we're going to get into here in a little bit. But I think there's a lot to be learned there as well. Um, how to cast the moving water. I said I've never done it. So how to cast the moving water, how to maneuver in moving water, how to position yourself in moving water. So this is going to be a big learning curve. There are a couple bodies of water I'd like to try this on that I don't think are flowing that fast that I might be able to do something with. We'll see. Not really want to divulge too many things yet because one of the bodies of water that I want to try this on, I hardly ever see anybody fishing on it. But anybody who lives along it and has fished it from the bank, which that's something you don't see when you're driving by, says there's huge fish up there. So something to try. Off to number 4. I'm going through these a little bit quicker than expected. Do a tournament. Now, there is one tournament that I am looking at right now to do for sure in October. It's part of the Kayak Adventure Series, and it's going to be on the Upper Allegheny River, which is where the tournament's based off is less than an hour and a half from where I live here. I also have friends that live up there, about 20 minutes out of Franklin, and I could stay there for free. So I mean, it's kind of like the perfect storm. So I've got everything in one place, or close to one place that I need, without having to spend that much money because I don't make that much anyway. So having a free place to stay kind of really eases things up a little bit. And where where they're at, as opposed to where the tournament is going to be based out of. Now I don't know where we can launch out of. That's the other thing. And the other thing I have was that where I'm staying at, they'll probably be able to help me get back to where I started from. A lot of the other places where I want to fish are nowhere even close to it. But they could probably help me out in that regard as well. So I want to see where the launches are, where the downstream terminus is, how far you can go upstream, and everything else in between. Figure out a strategy. And he hasn't posted any of that yet. So this is something that I'm really looking forward to this. Now the Allegheny River, it's kind of almost in the upper area, not quite to Franklin. It's a place called Parker. I have fished that out of a powered John boat before, but I wasn't driving. We were actually in a bass tournament. I wouldn't say a bass tournament, a fishing tournament there, but it wasn't. It was a one fish tournament. Whoever got the biggest bass got money. Whoever got the biggest fish any species got any money, and that was that. But that was years ago. As far as me doing it by myself and piloting my own craft, as I said, I've never done that before. So this is, as I said, going to be a new experience doing the tournament, number one. Number two, if I don't get to river fish until then, I'm going to be trying to learn all this stuff on the fly, which is going to make things rather interesting. And if that is the case, I'm going to try to put myself someplace in the Allegheny River that isn't too for lack of a better term, volatile. It gives me a little bit more, for lack of a better term, forgiveness, or a little bit more wiggle room to make a mistake and not have it be, I wouldn't say catastrophic, but dumping a kayak or what have you. So I thought out some of this stuff in advance. Go back over here to comments. So, hey, Burn. Oh, really? That's cool. Go back over here to banner. So, with the tournament, kind of looking forward to this because I've been trying to qualify. Long story short here with this, I don't think I'm going to be doing Knucklehead next year. I mean, last year I had shoulder issues, which kind of really knocked me out of it. This year, for the first month, I signed up for Wendell to do Knucklehead, thinking that my kayak was going to be in a week later. It never showed up that whole month. In fact, it didn't show up till like the middle of May. So that kind of shot the whole. I gave him a donation that month. Kayak is fine. The kayak's ready to go. Now it's getting the trailer ready, and I had most of the trailer done, except these little problems kept on popping up, just happened just now, or a little bit ago, I should say. And I signed up for the last month, and what I was waiting for the trailer never came in, so I could never get the kayak out. So that killed that month, and I gave him another donation. The year before, when I had my shoulder problem, I paid for all 4 months in advance. I gave him a big donation, never made it out. So I'm not doing that again unless I think I can do something with it. Then I'll probably will. It's nothing against KBF. I have nothing against them, but it's at this point, I think I'm just going to try like a little tournament like this, and maybe a local bass tournament, a BASS tournament, I should say, and just stay in my lane, honestly. As I said, I'm giving full disclosure. If it shoots me in the foot, it shoots me in the foot, but at least I'm honest about it. To a fault. So, I think we'll move on to number 3 here. So we'll get rid of this one and go to this one. Maybe, there's a couple maybes in here, but maybe start a podcast. And this is coming from somebody who has a face for radio and a voice for newsprint. So it's kind of probably a little bit of wishful thinking. Oh, that's cool, Burn. New Jersey. Let me show that here real quick. New Jersey has a great trail once a month. If I live closer to New Jersey, that would be a possibility. Unfortunately, I live closer to Cleveland. But thanks for the heads up. I do have relatives that do live in New Jersey, so if I'm ever out that way, I might just do that. But how my podcast would go if I was going to actually, that's not a bad idea. I may do that after I'm done because I'm planning on being done sometime around 8:30ish. So, but if I do a podcast, I'm going to do the same way I'm doing this YouTube channel. Don't start. My dog's whining at me. He does this every time. But back to what I was saying here. It'll be like an every other week, fishing one week, wood stuff the following week. which next week I'm probably going to do where would be my top outdoors goals for 2025, and that's going to be for all the wood stuff. So just be able to look out for that for next week. But for the podcast, depending if it goes good, because let's face it, probably about the first 10 to 30 episodes I do is probably going to be just me. So I have to come up with a script and go through the whole thing. I want it to last at least half an hour, if not a little bit longer. So like at least 30 minutes long, which means I got to learn how to talk better. Let's face it, I'm not that good at that either, which is why I kind of use this as a therapy type of thing. Like some of the stuff I would do with the fishing is maybe go over some baits, news, what have you. Like in the outdoors part of it is gear stuff, trail stuff, some local trails are around here, which are absolutely awesome. We do have some awesome trails around here, even for the big trails. Not too many people on them, but it's going to be more of an outdoors like podcast instead of just a fishing podcast, or just a hiking podcast, or just a bushcraft podcast, or survival, whatever. It's going to be kind of like a big umbrella of things. And one thing I'm going to try to do with the podcast as well as this channel is with bushcraft stuff or survival stuff. What many people don't realize is a lot of that overlaps with the fishing, and the fishing will overlap with that. Maybe not so much the bass fishing, or not yet. We will here in a little bit. There's people walking around outside my door, and he's whining at them. So, but he'll be okay. But with that being said, like carrying a small survival kit in your boat or on your kayak in case something happens in a dry bag would not be a bad idea. Kayak flips over and goes down in the middle. I won't say goes down, but starts going down in the middle of the lake. Having something you can grab and get to shore with to get yourself dry, get yourself warm, and get shelter over your head might not be a bad idea, especially on some of these larger lakes. Hey, that's enough. I don't believe he ate. Give me 1 second here, folks. As soon as I figure out how to... Give me 1 second. What do you want? What do you want? Gotta go outside? What's up? No, you want food. Fingers in the middle of my thing. There. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, he figures he wanted some food and he's not happy about it, but he got spoiled not by me but by somebody else. He won't eat unless his food is on his bed, and there wasn't any food on his bed, so he wasn't happy. But back to the podcast. As I said, a lot of the stuff can overlap. Some people say it can't. I believe that it can and be done effectively. There's a lot of stuff that I do for like bushcraft and survival and hiking that can translate over to the kayak and could save your life. And I'm going to try to explore those options. That would be the basis of the podcast anyway. Or one of the bases anyway. Basis. Okay, whatever. Okay, going on to the next one, and this is kind of a big one for me because we actually been talking about this at work, and it kind of goes into the tournament part of it, but it's maybe start a kayak bass fishing club. Um, Now we have a bunch of people with fish. I wouldn't say a bunch, but we have a few people with fish at work that know what kayak bass fishing is, but they're afraid to go into because they got the cheap sit-in $200 Walmart Dunham Dick special, and they don't want to go into because they're thinking that they're going to have to go right in against Christine Fisher. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not like that. So, but we're talking about starting one, not only to be like a local bass club, but to be a community outreach of sorts. Not sure where around here I would base it from, but I do know I have. If I decide to do this, or if we decide to do this, I have about 2 or 3 people at work that are solidly behind the idea. And the ideas that we came up with is instead of having one big kayak class, we're going to have 3 smaller ones. And those 3 are just going to fish against each other instead of in one big group. So we can pull into people that are just getting started with a little bit of money, but we could pull into people with high-end rigs too, and then have a class for what's in the middle. Whatever class you sign up for, that's what you're going to get paid out for. We haven't really come up with like what the club dues are going to be or anything else like that. And this is something we're still just kind of kicking around. We don't even know if we're going to do yet. We're trying to see if we have any interest outside of the workplace. But what we're going to do is have like a bare bones kayak, which even my old town would qualify for that. The only thing it has is a pedal drive. I have no electronics on it, nothing. So it's basically either a pedal drive or a pedal drive kayak, no electronics, go fish. The next one would be everything up to forward-facing sonar. For the first class, we may allow motors, we may not. We're not sure about that yet. But in the next one, if you have a sonar, but you don't have forward-facing sonar, you'll be in that middle class. So everybody in there, whatever, if you paid to go in that class, you're going to be getting paid back with the money from that class. Same thing with the high-end stuff. Once you hit forward-facing sonar, you're in the open. I wouldn't say anything goes, but that's your top-of-the-line fishing rigs, forward-facing sonar, motor, spot lock, the whole 9 yards. And that'd be, if you pay to be in that class, you're going to be getting paid back from that class, from what comes in. And how we were going to do this, what we're thinking about is when we take the money in, 25% of that entry goes to the club. The other 75% goes to the kitty for that class. So once we get all the money in, our payout, since it's just club stuff, we're not paying out like the top 40. We don't even know if we're going to have 5 people show up. So we're going to pay the top 3 places out of that 75%. So that 75% is going to come out, that chunk, which is now going to be 100% because the other 25% has been taken care of. So what's left over, let's call that 100%. First place is going to get 50%. Second place is going to get 30%. Third place is going to get 20% per class. Now we are going to have a big fish side pot, and that's for all the classes combined. So if you pay the money for the side pot, and all the money for the side pot goes into the pot, all of it. So, and that's going to be one payment. Whoever gets biggest fish, that's your money. And that's for all three classes combined. So I think, to me, it sounds like a sound concept anyway, because now you don't have the pressure of somebody who's just starting, doesn't have that pressure of going up against somebody that has a fully loaded out rig. Or someone can get in that middle slot. They don't want to do the forward facing sonar, but they have just a regular fish finder or what have you. There's a class for them. But we only have those three classes. If things go well after that, we may add a fourth class, but that class is of their own, is a junior class. I think we decided it's going to be under 15, like 14 and under. We have to check the actual legality of that. It may have to be 18 and under. They have to be accompanied by a parent or have a parent within so many yards of them. But they would have a class of their own if we got that big. And that, as I said, all the kids are going to be fishing against each other. And this is just to learn, for them to learn before they step up into the adult side of things. Also, the other thing we're talking about is if we get big enough, we may actually apply for a bass charter. So we can become a club, and if we can become a club with a charter, the top guys in our club will be able to fish the Pennsylvania Championship. Lay down, you'll get it in a minute. Not yet. You're not starving. Don't give me that. My dog thinks he's starving. So there's a lot to unpack there, and if we decide to start it, I'll definitely let you guys know, but it'll be based in Southwest Pennsylvania. That is what the plan is as of now. It may change, it may not even happen. So it all depends on how things go moving forward. And the last one, and I've kind of went over this quite a few times, post a damn fish. As I said, trying for KBF the last couple years with the shoulder issues and the trailer kayak issues this past year and everything else. I'm so spun out on it. And it's not KBF's fault. It's my fault. In some ways, it's just circumstance. It is what it is. So, as I said, next year I might not. More likely, I probably won't. If I can get a decent start next year, I might be trying at least for the state. Just mess around with that a little bit. And I'm not so worried about winning it, using it. If I can start catching good, to use that as a way to log my catches, if nothing else. And let the cards fall where they may from there. Again, I have not put a fish on a KBF on anybody's board, let alone KBF's board. It's nothing against KBF. I have no problem with them. It seems like every time I try to get something going for that, either my body lets out, my equipment lets out, or my money lets out. Welcome to life, right? As I said, life gets in the way. There's only one way to deal with it. Just keep plowing forward and hope for the best. But that's my 10, and this is probably the most important one. It has to start with something. So that was my top 10 anyway. How did I come up with these? Some of these I've been thinking about for a while. Some of them have been eating at me. Um, some I'll look forward to, and other ones, I'll be honest, I'm spun out on it. That's why maybe, even though I gave a couple donations, getting this monkey off my back, it just stuck. Refusing to worry about it anymore, because that's the other thing I was doing, is I was worrying about it a lot, enough that it was keeping me awake at night. So with that being said, maybe if I quit worrying about it and just keep moving forward and just do it out of enjoyment instead of this desperate need to compete and validate myself, maybe it could be a lot more enjoyable. As I said, I'm going to only give you guys 100% disclosure here. I'll tell you my weaknesses. One of my weaknesses is I will I should say mentally beat the living hell out of myself. And there's like, a lot of people will sit there and look at me and say, well, don't do that. It's kind of hard, because by the time I realize I'm doing it, it's too late. With that being said, and now knowing how that part of my brain works, it's now how to counteract that. Yeah, because the first year with KBF, I kind of beat myself up. This year, I really beat myself up to the point of, when I wasn't coming around there's probably like a 3-week stretch. Nobody really seen me on any of the. Maybe I showed up to like maybe one or two of the live streams, like here on YouTube, instead of all the ones I usually do. That's because after I got that kayak, I was thinking about putting out the end of the road for sale and with my gear and everything, and say hell with it. That's where I was. And I finally got myself back to the point that, you know what, I'm just being too hasty. Calm down, think rationally, and move forward. Yeah, I mean, I do have my issues. Like I said, full disclosure, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot, but like I said before, but I'd rather be totally honest with you than sit here and try to snow you. And with that being said, just to let you guys know, I did walk away from fishing for 25 years. I got so spun out to the point of saying, I can't do this. Put my stuff in the basement, and it sat, and I didn't touch it for 25 years. I walked by it, I wouldn't even look at it. So I decided to get back into it, and I'm using a lot of stuff I have from 25, 30 years ago, if not longer, along with some of the new stuff. So I did have a start. Back when I was fishing 25 years ago, I wasn't no hot shot, but I was doing a hell of a lot better than what I'm doing now. I'm basically starting over again. And it hasn't been easy. And the thing about it is I don't learn the way everybody else does. I've had a lot of people. We'll take you out. We'll get you on fish. No, just let me watch the video, see the technique, and leave me alone. I have to teach myself. I do not learn well from others. That's the way I've always been. That's why I got through school. I didn't even pay attention to what the teacher did up there, because to me it just sounded like Charlie Brown. Blah 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 blah. I'd see the lesson, I'd go home, I'd read it, and I would learn it better that way than I would from somebody teaching it to me. So everything that I know, I've pretty much self-taught. Some people may not want to admit it, but that is the God's honest truth. So, I mean, I have my own hurdles I have to deal with. And I'm not saying I don't want to go fishing with anybody. It's just there's lines I have to draw. It is what it is. I may be I may be too brutally honest about myself, but I'd rather be this way than come across as something and then somebody finds out I'm not that, if that makes any sense. So, Michael. So, yeah, probably a lot to unpack, but um, that's life. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody learns the same. Not everybody does the same thing. I'm that way as well. Um, I think I'm going to stop with my brutal honesty on myself right here because, I mean, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm being real. This is how I am. Um, but I want to move forward. I mean, there's only one way. That's only the direction I know how to go is forward. If I have to take a step back, sometimes I don't know how to take it, and everything goes haywire. Some people are like that, some people aren't. I'm just happen to be one of those. Even if I can make just an incremental step forward, I feel like it's progress. The process of progress. You know what I'm saying? Um, so do a little bit of housekeeping here before I go. Just little reminders that I will have a video dropping tomorrow of what I'm not sure, but it's going to be woods based. Going to start trying to nail down my plan on those 10 episodes I want to do next year. I want to have all that laid out. Not so much script wise, but know where I want to go, know where I want to launch from, gather as much information on those as I can. There's some places I'm going, there's literally no information. I might have to go do the scout work on it myself. And as I said, I'm going to be using both kayaks for this. Mostly the new one, but there's a couple places I'm going to be going. At least one place I know if I'm going to be going, I'm going to take my old sit-in kayak. Just for the fact that the one body of water I found is about a 2.5 mile hike through the woods. There's no trail. I'm going to buck and brush. And I think it'd be easier to buck brush with that sit-in on a dolly, not a kayak cart, a dolly. Because I have to drag it over logs and everything else. And I put the kayak cart on my little one. Exactly, Michael. I totally agree with that. On StreamYard, your comment just popped up. But I found with the dolly, by testing back here in the woods, with that sit-in. Now, I'd do this with my old town, but my future beach, which weighs about 50 pounds, with an extendable dolly, which I can extend out to almost about 6 feet on a 10-foot kayak. Puts the wheels at the very back of it, so I can actually rest that dolly on the log, slide it up the log without having to worry about damaging the kayak, pop it over, and it lands on the wheels, and I keep on going. The kayak cart doesn't really let me do that very effectively. Next spring, I'm going to write a note next spring, and I'm going to redo that back here in the woods behind my house where I tested at. And I'm going to do that with that small kayak again and actually video it. I think you may find it rather interesting. But some things to look forward in the way future, like 2025. As I said, the boat's in there, so for me to get that little kayak out, it's not impossible, but it is a massive pain now. But Saturday, I'm going to try to do some more shooting if it's not raining. If it is raining, I may find a couple other things to shoot on inside. whether it be in the barn, or in the basement. Sunday is kind of a day off. I'm probably going to do a little bit of editing on Sunday, but I'm going to try to have a video ready to go on Sunday to be posted on Wednesday, at least. That's what I'm doing the batch shooting for. When I upload it, I could tell it when to drop. Instead, because what I was doing before is I'd go do a bunch of batch shooting on the weekend, run back, edit everything, and literally just shotgun YouTube with it and see what sticks. I'm trying to get on a little bit more of a consistent schedule. Instead of flooding and then going dry, flooding and going dry, I can keep a constant flow, which I shoot about 3 to 5 videos when I do batch shoot. And actually right now I still have 5 that I have to edit. One of them's going to be going up tomorrow, so that still leaves me 4. So I can actually take a week off if I wanted to, but I don't really want to do that. I want to stockpile this stuff and have it ready to go. Trying to think what else here. Oh, yes. Once I do hit 1,000 subscribers, I might have a giveaway. But as I said, I want to get a lot closer to that before I announce yes or no. More than likely I will. But as I said, I want to get well into the 900s before I start that. And right now I actually lost 2. So I went from 890 down to 888. Which, having a fluctuation like that in YouTube, that's the norm. I found that happens a lot. They'll go up. I'll go up by so many, drop by 2. Go up by like 3, drop by 1. Go up by like 2 or 3 more, drop by 3, up 2, down 1, back up 1. So it all depends on what's going on with YouTube at the time as well. As I said, I've been at this for a better part of 8 years now. Not good at it, apparently, but this is kind of a form of therapy for me, like I said before. But with all that being said, it's about the top of the hour here. I said the bottom of the hour here, my bad. It's almost 8:30. Bass After Dark is going to start in about a half an hour, which I do want to watch that. So with that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and close it down for tonight. I thank everybody who showed up. I love you all, and I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great night, folks, and I'll probably see you in a half an hour.